Up until today, we already have AKLIAM PD4, PD4 Plus, and also recently PD5. And you know what? Today, just released, we also have now AKLIAM PD6. AKLIAM is getting better and better with this PD series dongle, starting from PD4 all the way to this PD6. It still retain, the price bracket of under 100 US dollar, and precisely it is priced at 99 US dollar recommended retail price. And depending on your location, depending on where you are in AliExpress, AKLIAM official store, you might be able to get some discount codes, which could potentially push the price as low as 80 or even lower. And what you're gonna get, of course, this simple box here, which contains the dongle itself. In order to keep the price low, of course, they try to minimize the packaging, but you do get this lovely looking dongle here. Perhaps the best PD series as of yet. And also, you're gonna get this lovely looking USB Type-C here, designated as C5. And the best part, they also now include this lovely looking leather case. Okay, so let's just quickly have a look at the build and the construction of this PD6. You would notice that it is also now included with this LCD display here. So this is pretty much one of the biggest improvement in PD series. And of course, you're going to find the typical 4.4mm balance, 3.5mm single-ended, USB Type-C female, and of course, this 3 button here, which serve as independent volume adjustment, and this function button. One of the biggest improvement offered by this PD6 now, it comes with ESS Sabre ES9039Q2M, one of the highest tier ESS Sabre deck that you can expect in the market nowadays. And also it comes equipped with dual Recore RT6863 amplifier, which in turns will emit the kind of power at around 243 milliwatt of power at 32 ohm. Perhaps the most important part is that this is the highest resolution that you can expect from PD series or even from many other dongles in the market nowadays, because PD6 comes maximum at DSD 512, capable of resolving DSD 512, I repeat, and also maximum of 768 kHz 32-bit of PCM file. So that is high-end stuff, okay? On top of the impressive hardware, this PD6 is also impressive with the software. Click on this M button, which is the function button, and what you're going to be presented is that the first one being high and low gain. And I am almost exclusively on high gain all the time because many of my IEM and headphones scales really well with power. This is where you get the maximum power out of this PD6. And the next one, PCM filter. Now this is very interesting. Let me just walk you through here. Fast LR, the first one, and then fast LP, apodizing, minimum phase, slow LD, slow MP, fast MP again, slow LP, fast LR. And you would notice one thing, the absence of NOS, no oversampling. So there's no NOS here despite so many filters provided inside this PD6. And I was just simply gonna declare this openly. I have been trying it quite a bit, and I noticed that there's not much of changes that I am hearing, not like some other dongle which I have tested. So the filter does exist, but at this point of time, it doesn't seem to be effective that much at all. And the next one, after the PCM filter, would be the headphone out, which you can select either SPDIF or headphone out, meaning that you can also toggle this PD6 to serve as a digital out to another deck, which is a good thing. And you would notice here, performance mode. Now this is very interesting. Okay, performance mode means that this PD6 is equipped with a mechanism, a clock control, which will enhance, or should I say provide, some sort of noise mitigation for the upper frequency, which in return would produce higher fidelity upper frequency, especially if you are facing some sort of artifact in the upper frequency. Host volume control on and off. Okay, what does it do? It means that whether you want it to run as a independent volume adjustment, or you can toggle this volume adjustment to be something like a remote control to the host rather than independent. Could be useful if you are attaching to a PC. And then the next one, hardware depop. So now this is for something like, very sensitive IEM, hybrid, especially if you're facing any kind of, let's say, pop sound when attaching, or let's say when you're having interchange of song, you can actually toggle this from anywhere from strong, medium, weak, off. I'm always off because I am not hearing any kind of pop sound from any of my IEM. And the HID key here, what does it do? If you click it on, then it will tell the dongle, you are telling the dongle to behave like a remote control for your player. So instead of, let's say, doing adjustment of volume or even menu, it will behave differently in a way that you can do now, let's say, fast, forward, reverse, or play and pause. 243 milliwatt of power per channel at 32 ohm. So you might be wondering, is this powerful enough to compete with the rest of the competition in the market? Because we have seen dongles offering as high as 700 milliwatt of power per channel at 32 ohm. And no worries, okay? I have tested it with this, as usual, my Sennheiser HD600 here, 300 ohm. And I was, simply put, satisfied with the kind of output this PD6 offer, because it is pretty much comparable to some of the top tier dongle which I have tried so far. The sound itself, in order to achieve, let me just look at my notes here. Proper listening loudness running from the 4.4 mm balance in high gain, I was able to get at around 66 out of 100 in order to drive that Sennheiser HD600. So that is impressive, because comparatively, I can simply say that it is on par to these two dongles here, favorite of mine, which is Onyx Alpha and this iBasso DC07 Pro. These two are my favorite, okay? And all of them shared the same load at 66 out of 100 in order to drive that Sennheiser HD600. So that is definitely impressive. But I'd like to clarify one thing as well. I found something which is kind of a bit odd. When I drive my magnetic planar, specifically this Hidis MP145, I needed volume at around 44 out of 100 on this PD6. And in contrast, for these two, Onyx Alpha and DC07 Pro, I only needed 38 out of 100. So kind of a bit weird. Perhaps it has something to do with the way it behaves with magnetic planar, perhaps. But then again, once I achieved the proper listening level, everything sounded perfect. How about signal to noise ratio? How clean is it when driving something super sensitive like this FIO FA19 here? This thing will pick up anything, okay? Even floor noises. And I am happy to say with the SNR of 126, it is definitely clean enough to a point that I am not hearing any kind of disturbance or any kind of floor noises at all from this PD6. It is safe to say that with the kind of experience AKLIAM have with the previous iteration of PD series, from PD4 all the way to PD4 Plus, PD5 and now PD6, you can expect maturity in the way they implement the sound presentation. So this is definitely one of the dongles which I would consider as top tier for 2024, and it showcased the maturity which was achieved by AKLIAM, the learning curve that they had from PD4 all the way to this PD6. For example, let me just quickly compare, with the PD4. PD4 was, typically I would say the kind of sound which is energetic, analytical, and kind of a bit less musical, a bit too technical for my taste, and at least they try to improve it a bit with the release of PD4 Plus. So there's a bit of element of balance there, but still it does not sound analog enough to my ears. And they actually fixed that with the release of PD5. So pretty much I would say that PD6 offer the kind of improvement which was already presented in PD5, but with a caveat. Okay, the caveat being is that it runs now on ESS Sabre And in return, what you're gonna get is something which is a bit more resolving than PD5. Yes, the way it handles the dynamic transient, the way it resolves the detail, the way it resolves micro detail, the way it handles sound stage and everything seems to be improved to my ears. The most important thing, the sound stage is wide and open. Yes, if you are looking for something which is wide and open sounding, pretty much on par to the likes of, let's say, Ibasso DC04 Pro, DC07 Pro, Onyx Alpha, or even, let's say, Kain RU7, this PD6 is right up there with the best, the very best. But the most important part for me is that how neutral it is. It is definitely uncolored, the kind of transparency which I love, the kind of transparency which I am experiencing from high-end dongles, meaning that there's no hint of coloration, anywhere from lower frequency, mid-range to the upper frequency. So for example, depending on what IEM you attach it to, like this MP145 here, or even FIO FA19, or any type of IEM that you can think of, or even headphones like this, you can expect faithful reproduction of sound in accordance to the sound signature of each of the attached panel. That is transparency. So that definitely, I would say that that is the characteristic of high-end DAC amp. While being analytical, while being able to resolve, very minute details, macro and micro details, the good thing is that AKLIAM has been able to maintain, especially considering that this PD6 runs on ESS Sabre, the energy level. It does not sound aggressive at all. Never offensive in any way. So you're not gonna expect, sharp edge kind of resolution, but the resolution is definitely polished and very, very well resolved. There's just so many tons of dongles being released in the last 1 year, okay? What separates them typically are not the technical aspect of it, not the, let's say, the sound quality itself. You can expect pretty much all of them to offer the kind of sound quality which is super impressive. But the one that separates them the most is how they project the tone and the timbre. So in this element, I am happy to say that this PD6 is definitely one of those dongle which I would classify as being highly analog, highly organic. Despite running on ESS Sabre, I am very impressed that AKLIAM was able to tune it in such a way that it retains the analytical prowess of this ESS Sabre, yet it has that kind of organic, smooth transient to present analog sound. We are seeing new dongles literally being released almost on monthly basis. Yes, let me repeat that. Monthly basis now, especially in 2024. So you can expect very tough competition for any new dongles coming into the market. So is it difficult for this PD6? Let me just tell you this upfront. It is definitely not an issue for PD6 to scale all the way to the group of top performer in dongle madness. With all the things I have already mentioned earlier, it is definitely a very well tuned, very well constructed dongle. And in fact, if I were to reflect on some of the differences which I have already mentioned with the PD series itself, anywhere from PD4 to PD4 Plus to PD5 and even PD5, because it is clear to me that this PD6 offer refinement over what was already an improved PD5. And when I compare with some of the top performer of dongle madness, I have openly declared that this is the alpha dongle for 2024, which is Onyx Alpha. And this is the Omega dongle for dongle madness for 2024, which is Ibasso DC07 Pro. This AKLIAM PD6, after I tried comparing between the three of them side by side, back and forth, I am surprised how close or how equal this PD6 was able to match, especially this Ibasso DC07 Pro in many ways. Except that I do feel that, this DC07 Pro does offer a bit more of density, richness to the micro detail, and that is only in the area of micro detail, the decay state. And overall, I would even say that the differences between this PD6 and Onyx Alpha is like this Onyx Alpha does appear a bit more warmer sounding, okay, if that makes sense at all. So despite that, the differences and everything, I do feel that, the performance is definitely top notch. So in order to reflect that, this is how the score looked like for this PD6. As you can see there, of course, this is not all of them, just a few collection of top performing dongles, because obviously I have tried and tested over 170 dongles. What you see here is a collection of some of the top performer, and PD6 scores an amazing 91 out of 100. Simply put, through hardship, through perseverance, and through consistency, AKLIAM has been able to produce an outstanding dongle in the form of PD6. And the learning curve that they had from PD4, PD4 Plus, and even PD5 resulted in such an outstanding package in this PD6 in a way that I am impressed with the hardware, with the software, and of course, the output itself, the sound itself. It is definitely one of the most analog sounding dongle in the market now, with the wider sound stage, with the kind of resolution and imaging you can expect from top tier dongle, and definitely with the kind of price which is very appealing to many people. If you happen to be, let's say, wanting to have top tier dongle like this iBasso DC or 7 Pro, but wish not to spend too much money on it, you can definitely take this PD6 as a replacement, as a substitute, a worthy substitute.